comedy, I like being funny. I like being regarded as funny, a funny person. The notion of, oh man, I got to be really funny 4 times this week or I can't pay rent.
Yeah.
Is terrifying and anathema to the enjoyment I get out of the hobby. So my dad said, find a thing you're good at. Make that your job. The thing you love, make that your hobby.
Welcome to Overeducated and Underemployed. Feddun here. We got Evan Rossi this week. He's a buddy of mine, a comic who you may have gathered refuses to make it his profession. We get into it. We talk about philosophy of comedy. We talk about all kinds of different music. I really hope you enjoy this conversation. Before we get to that, I got a couple show announcements for you. I am officially going to be at AthFest, appearing at the kickoff comedy show Thursday night. So come say hey, come check that out. I'm also going to be doing a couple other dates. I'm working out the final details of that, so I'll keep you posted. But I'm doing a few dates up in Athens, one of which is announced. I'll be at the AthFest comedy kickoff show on Thursday night, the 25th. It's going to be awesome. I can't wait for that. That's gonna be a lot of fun. Next week we got Franz Nicolai, who recently testified before Congress, but of course is the keyboard player, pianist for the Hold Steady, and author of books like Band People and Humorless Women of Border Patrol. So we had a really great, interesting talk. Super cool guy, super smart guy. Professor Franz Nicolai next week. Stay tuned for that one. Without further ado, here's my talk with Evan Rossi. Enjoy it. I'm here with Evan Rossi, and he's a comedian, he's a musician, and he's a friend of mine for several years, and someone I've performed with quite a bit. I'm really excited to be here with him. I'm going to ask you the same question I ask everybody on this show.
Okay.
To start with, and then we'll just go wherever you want. First of all, thank you for being here, because I know you don't typically like to be known.
No, it's my pleasure.
But I'm going to ask you the first question I ask everybody, and then I'm going to get rid of that cat because it doesn't look like they're going to eat their food. But what's the first song that you remember loving as a kid?
The first song I remember loving as a kid, that's actually really easy because I had a crib tape as a baby. And so I was victim to severe earworm from very early age. We're talking months old, 6, 7 months old. As soon as I was ready to be on my own in a crib, I think it was my father's wacky idea to softly play music in my room at night to pacify me. And I think it might have worked. And there was a number of tapes.
You seem very pacified.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm a pretty mellow guy. But there was a number of tapes, but one that just wormed its way into my infant skull and had a sense memory of it years later. And I was like, I love that song. And that was Not Your Stepping Stone by the Monkees.
Oh, hell yeah, the Monkees. Yeah, the Monkees were an early love for me too, I think. Yeah.
I still appreciate the Monkees. I think they pulled one of the greatest magic tricks in all of entertainment, which was they were a fake band that became a real band. That's
they're the only ones, right?
Yeah, they're one of the only ones.
Certainly one of the first.
Yeah.
My mom was a big fan of the Monkees, and so I was definitely exposed to that as a kid quite a bit and watched the show primarily, I think. Did you start to watch the show as a kid?
Oh, yeah, no. As soon as I was aware of the music, when I was 4 or 5 years old, when I was allowed to make decisions about things, I had a copy of that cassette that I listened to in a Walkman, and I watched the TV show. That was also right around the time when they started syndicating the show. This would have been around I want to say 86, 87.
Okay, yeah.
And
Like Nick at Night, TV Land, kind of.
I want to say it was either Nickelodeon proper or MTV. It was one or the other
okay,
started
yeah.
running the television show. And and so that was kind of a mind blower. So I got real fixated on that. Yeah.
I think years later, that was one of my first exposures to Frank Zappa. Because he did an episode of the Monkees.
He did an episode of the Monkees, and he's also in their movie.
Okay. I don't think I've ever seen the Monkees movie.
They made a movie after the show was canceled. It's called Head, and this is not an exaggeration. It is a top 10 favorite movie of mine. I absolutely adore that movie. It's one of two music-centric movies that are in my top 10. The other one being True Stories, the Talking Heads movie.
Yeah, True Stories is great. It's been a long time since I've watched that one. Of course, I've watched Stop Making Sense a bunch.
Oh, the Stop Making Sense concert film is just unfuckwithable.
Yeah,
it's just fantastic.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. The only thing that's like almost as good is American Utopia. David Byrne, like, can I outdo myself? But hey, we're gonna pause for one moment for station identification. The Monkees movie Head. One of your top 10 movies. Period.
Yeah, love that movie. I've watched that movie. I would more than 20 times, easily more than 20 times. I had a spree, especially like late high school, early college days, where I was just that was one of the movies I was obnoxious about. Because you gotta watch this movie. It's got the Monkees in it. Also Frank Zappa. Also Captain Beefheart does the voice of a cow in a scene. And
my first Zappa record was Bongo Fury.
there you go.
All right, I've got to watch this movie.
Also, Annette Funicello's in it.
Jesus.
Yeah.
How have I never seen this? This is crazy. All right, well, I know what I'm doing tonight.
And the tunes are good.
I would imagine so. Yeah, like
I think there's a couple Carole King songs, and there's a Harry Nilsson.
I love Harry
and
Nilsson,
then a couple originals. I think one's a Mike Nesmith original. And,
I feel like Nilsson got a resurgence in the last few years after that song got used in Russian Doll.
I think there's a cyclical thing with Harry Nilsson because so much of his music is really prime for movie soundtracks and also commercial work, and you just end up hearing one of his songs every couple years.
You're like, holy shit, I forgot about that dude.
Yeah,
he rules.
Like, I'm not really in the ecosystem, but I wouldn't be surprised if like Gotta Get Up or something became one of those TikTok.
So Gotta Get Up
TikTok
was like the
things.
beginning of. It was played at the beginning of this show called Russian Doll. Like 5 years
Oh, it
ago.
was that song.
It was that song.
I'm aware. I'm aware of the show. Unfortunately, I've never seen it, and
It's pretty solid, especially the first season.
Yeah,
but so early on, you're into the Monkees. You mentioned, and maybe we'll get back to this a little later. But you mentioned you had a top 10. Is that like a readily available list, or would you be pulling to make that list? Does it probably change day to day?
I think the top 10 is fairly solid, but it's not rank order.
That's fair. Yeah. I would have a really hard time picking like even just my favorite movie.
Right. Yeah, that's why usually like I don't have a favorite movie. I kind of have a favorite 10 or 12 movie.
Yeah. I can maybe pick like a favorite one or two out of a genre.
Oh, sure.
You know what I mean? Like I can pick like my favorite comedy movie or my favorite fantasy movie.
See, that one would be very hard for me, but what is your favorite comedy movie?
I didn't say I had one readily available, but I could pick one.
Yeah, I don't know if I could, I guess is the point. I don't know if I could pick up a single comedy.
I don't know that I don't. Yeah, comedy's hard just because I love comedy so much. But I think.
And you can attack it from so many different angles.
Well, and I think with a comedy movie, you're really looking for repeatability.
Absolutely.
Because like it could be the funniest movie you ever saw, but if you don't laugh the second time, it's not.
Oh, no, very true.
So, yeah.
There are certain movies, I don't know if any of them make the favorites list, but there are certain movies that got funnier with the second viewing for me.
Or like they became quotable. It was almost like funnier to like quote it later.
Yeah, I guess so.
Like Napoleon Dynamite was always like that for me. Like, it was a fun watch. Yeah. But it was way more fun to like quote it with your friends after the fact.
Quotability is fun and has its place. I do feel personally, I feel like quotability also accelerates the shelf life of the movie.
I agree with that.
And there are movies where I don't know if I could even watch a certain movie nowadays because it's been, I would say, quoted to death, especially college environment. When I was in college, a lot of those movies that came out around then, like your Anchormans and what have you, they've just been referenced to and just to
I was thinking,
oblivion.
I guess maybe more along the lines of like Clerks.
Sure.
Or even Dogma. Like, Dogma, I think, Dogma might be my favorite comedy movie. I gotta interject really quick here. I think UHF is probably my favorite comedy movie, as is evidenced in this conversation. Dogma's a classic, but UHF is it for me, I think.
Right on. Can I admit something to you?
Yeah.
Not a huge Kevin Smith fan.
I don't know that I would even. I would say that I was,
but I would say Dogma is probably the best of the bunch.
Yeah. I would say that I was a huge Kevin Smith fan growing up. I would not call myself a huge Kevin Smith fan now.
I always thought they were. I don't have a bone to pick with Kevin Smith movies.
Yeah.
They are fine. They just never were my flavor.
I think Dogma was just so smart, and it is really rewatchable for a lot of different reasons. It's quotable, but not so much. There's like a couple of quotes from Chris Rock that I think really broke through, and maybe a couple from George Carlin, but it's not like the whole movie got quoted. Right. You ask me the same question tomorrow, it would probably
like
change.
Jason Lee, I think a lot of his lines get quoted.
Yeah, it was a really good movie too.
It's good movie. It's a solid movie.
Yeah,
solid.
So
yeah, for me, Kevin Smith begins and ends with it's Dogma and the cartoon they made of Clerks.
Yeah,
those are the two things I remember going, oh no, this is quality.
Yeah, it's a real shame what happened with that show because they aired it out of order and skipped episodes, and it wasn't super serialized. But I remember the episode that's like a flashback episode that they did. It's like a parody of flashback.
Yeah,
episodes.
And it's like their second episode.
But they aired it first.
Oh, geez. Yeah. I thought so things like that, like where you're screwing with the format. We're not even out of our first season and we're going to give you a clip show. Just the concept of that appeals to me. That's that kind of aggressive stupidity. And I think that's a through line for me in a lot of comedy movies is aggressive stupidity. If you can be as calculatingly obnoxious as you can be, to good effect, you're going to make a fan out of me. I think one of my favorite comedies of the last 25 years is Wet Hot American Summer.
Yeah, I love that movie.
That movie I adore because it's relentless, and I wish I understand that the market is pretty limited. It's me and a handful of people who really like that kind of reality breaking comedy where things will just happen for the sake of the joke, not the sake of the plot.
Yeah.
And will just utterly shatter reality to achieve that punchline. I love that. And also a movie that kind of mixes, there's all kinds of humor in that movie. You have very highbrow jokes. You have incredibly lowbrow dick and fart jokes.
Yeah.
And there's physical comedy, and there's wordplay, and there's sight gags. It's just,
I think those are a lot of the same reasons I like Dogma too.
Sure.
You know what I mean? I think that would all that answer could change for me tomorrow. A movie that I saw recently, it's pretty new that I really loved and was incredibly stupid and smart at the same time was Nirvana the band, the show, the movie.
I haven't gotten around to it.
I think it's right up your alley.
It has definitely been brought to my attention a bunch of times. I will have to get around to it.
Yeah, one day. So I'm gonna jump way back now because that's how I roll.
Let's time travel, baby.
Ironically, that's what that movie's about.
Oh, how about that?
Yeah. So
I lied. I saw the movie 6 times. I loved it. No, I haven't.
This is why I love Evan Rossi, man. He really is. You're one of the most deadpan motherfuckers I've ever met. But you never let it go on too long either.
Try not to.
Yeah.
Because then it gets obnoxious. Yeah. No, I have been told that my entire life. I don't know. I can't tell you how many. I can't tell you how many girlfriends I've had. Who I never know when you're joking.
Yeah, I've definitely gotten that too. Yeah. I usually tell them if it sounds completely ridiculous, I'm probably not joking.
Or not even steady girls. This is like people I've dated. Or like, you'll be on a date and I'll just say some bunch of nonsense and they'll just, really? I was like, no, not really.
No.
I'm being very silly. Can't you tell?
We're both really into looks maxing.
Absolutely.
One, so.
Absolutely.
Anyway, so
you're lucky I know what that means.
I'm actually, I feel bad for you that you know what that means. And please, if
you're all worse off. Yeah.
If you don't, just keep it that way.
Yeah. Don't go look it up.
But it has become like a mainstream thing just in the last month or two in terms of like news stories about it.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. I don't think it's mainstream. I think, but it's definitely like in the zeitgeist. Like, people are aware of it now.
To me, if like,
but it is still
like, a coworker knows about it.
But I'm talking about like participants. It's still like.
I hope not.
No, it's still just.
I don't think it'll ever be a mainstream like, participatory.
No, it just seems to be like relegated to a relatively small handful of dipshits, and also victims. Horrible people that have been manipulated into intensifying their body dysmorphia or some.
And that's one thing that I think is like really important to like acknowledge when we talk about these people is like, as horrible as their viewpoints are, like they were taught to them by grifters and shit like that.
Absolutely, as a way to, a cure-all for their problems, whatever their problems may be.
Yeah, and
whether it's self-esteem or body image or a combination or a third thing. It's just, we've got an answer for that. It's strategically ice picking the shit out of your skull.
A lot of it's just capitalism.
Well,
right? Like late stage capitalism, and then they don't know, but they don't recognize that's the problem. So then they just have all these. Anyway, so you're really into the Monkees as a kid.
Oh yeah, I still am. They're a band I like a lot.
And I don't mean to isolate it that you are no longer into them, but at a young age, that was like it.
Oh yeah, number one band as a 5-year-old. Yeah, absolutely.
And then at what point did you decide you wanted to play music? Does that come like way later, or was that something pretty young?
I've always wanted to be involved in music, but I never settled on a role, and I still haven't settled on a role. I am as an instrumentalist, I am dog shit. I have no formal training. I don't know a lick of music theory. I can't tell you what key something is in, and yeah, all of your standard instruments, I wouldn't know what to do with them. I can fake it halfway decently on the trombone. I could play the trombone like fairly competently, but I cannot sight read at all. But if you play me something, I could 10, 15 minutes. I can get there. And then I'm an amateur hand at a lot of weirdo instruments. Like I know how to. Again, I'm not.
That seems really out of character for you.
I know, right? Yeah. But I can't make it very musical, but I can produce a tone from a singing saw. So I can technically play a saw, just not very well.
One of my favorite Christmas albums. Oh yeah. I heard a song the other day on V89 that it was like, I like the jaw harp, but it was like somebody had just discovered the jaw harp.
That'll happen
because they were way overusing it.
So then singing saw, and then also wireless. Or not wireless, wired singing saw, which is the theremin.
Yeah.
Play a little theremin and
D'Angelo and
sure,
Fishbone. Yeah,
the spoons I can play.
Yeah,
but all very amateurish and with not with much alacrity. But I write a lot of lyrics.
Yeah,
if I in the music world, if I have a role, it's probably as a lyricist first. Maybe a vocalist.
Is that what you gravitate towards when you listen to music?
I am very lyrics forward.
Yeah,
I am to a fault.
Yeah, me too. A lot of the
fault.
Time. Yeah.
Like I'll hate on something because I think it's bad poetry.
Right.
And that's not why it was brought to my attention in the first place. Like, what'd you think of the beat? What about? I was like, I don't care about the beat because I heard the words first, and I think they're stinky.
Zappa's a great example of that from time to time. Like he would say like, I don't care about lyrics that much.
Right.
The voice is just like another instrument to me. I'm more about like the sound that those words make.
Yes, and that is why I can overlook a lot of. For as much as I like Frank Zappa, we clearly do not share the same sense of humor.
Right.
The things that make him giggle enough to want to put on a record don't really do much for me.
I would say the same lyrically.
Yeah.
But musically, like, he's one of the only motherfuckers that can make me laugh with no lyrics.
That's true. That's true.
So there's that.
Yeah.
And that's where I've always found, like, the humor, I think, in Zappa, like, personally. So do you think you gravitate towards these, like, non-traditional? I'm not going to call them weirdo instruments. I'm not gonna instrument shame you.
That's okay.
But
I'll
non-traditional instruments, because, like, it is a way to be contrarian.
No,
Okay.
It just worked out that way. I gravitate towards specific sounds.
Interesting. Okay.
And the saw, these drones and warbles just always appealed to me. And those are the things that make them. I think something that's a little bit more traditional that I'm just a real sucker for is the vibraphone.
Okay. Yeah.
That's an all-timer instrument for me because of the way it just rings out and the sustain of it. And then you can put some, but it's also motor driven. And I think that's fascinating. All those resonance tubes in the front of a microphone have these butterfly valves that are connected to an axle, and that's run by a little dinky motor, and that's usually the first thing that burns out when you buy a used vibraphone. And I always told myself if I could find a good deal on a vibraphone, I would buy one and then force myself to learn it. But it hasn't happened yet.
It hasn't happened yet. So if you're selling a used vibraphone,
that's right.
Please reach out to Evan on social media.
And by reasonable, I mean stupid cheap.
Yeah. So you seem like somebody that likes
I'll do some yard work or something if I get a vibraphone. Yeah. I tinker. Screw around is also good. I've made several homemade instruments over the years for various performance art projects, and some of them are just large and obnoxious versions of instruments. Some are like chimeras welded to different instruments together. There's a video, I don't know if it exists online anymore. There's a video I used to have of me playing a drum solo with two plastic elementary school student model violins as the sticks. And I'm just clobbering the shit out of these drums with two violins trying to get a sound out of it. I just thought that was very funny.
Did you get a sound out of it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I practiced this drum solo for a week with sticks, and then I even think a couple of times with yarn mallets because my buddy at the time was very well equipped, and they had these drum heads that they were getting ready to throw out and swap out with new ones. And I said, okay, well, can I trash them? And they said, yeah, go for it. And so I went online. Went on Amazon. I got two $20 plastic violins, and I counted off with them, and they already started breaking. They already started chipping and falling apart on the count off. And we just plunked a camera down. I said, okay, go. And I just, it's stupid.
The strings didn't hurt like when they broke or anything? Like, it didn't snap back?
No, nothing like that.
Okay,
nothing like that.
Not like
it just made a great mess. A great clamor and a great mess.
I'm going to try and find that video, and if I do, the link's in the description.
There you go.
So at what point, though, do you start doing this, whatever it is? Were you pretty young? Because everybody's like banging on pots and pans, right?
Well, there's the main project, and I guess I should have gotten to it earlier.
No timeline here.
Well, my problem, I just realized it now, but my problem and hang up is that my main project I don't even consider in the realm of music. It's more of in the soundscape, sound design realm than it is musical. It's certainly not tuneful, and there's no lyrics, and there's rarely ever any percussion at all, let alone like a drum beat or something.
Even you didn't sample those violins on the drum set?
No, I should have though. Yeah. But no, something a hobby of mine, and call it a hobby, from very, very early. I was gifted a Walkman.
Okay.
When I was 5 going on 6.
Such a sexist name. I would like to just point that out at this point in time. Now that we're woke.
It was a different time.
Yeah.
It was a different time.
Sorry.
And my father had found a Walkman for $5 at a flea market, and because I was always hounding them as a small child to play a tape for me. And so my dad said, "Here's a tape player for you. Now you can listen to all your tapes on headphones and stop bothering us."
Yeah.
But it had a record function and I had a little dinky mic, and I started taping things, not necessarily off the radio, hardly ever off the radio. I would tape snippets of television dialogue. I would tape birds outside, the wind. I grew up in South Florida, in Fort Lauderdale. I have recordings of tropical storms. I have recordings of my parents talking secretly. I hide it under the kitchen table or something while my parents are having a boring a boring conversation about work or something, or going to the grocery store. I would just tape that. I would bring it to preschool and tape whatever my teacher was saying. I would go out to recess. And
were you taping over the same tape, or did you have like an archive of all this
No,
stuff?
I had about early days. I had about I forget what came in like a brick of blank cassette tapes. I want to say it was 5 or 8 blank cassette tapes, about an hour a piece.
Okay.
And I would just cycle through them, and then and I very often would tape over. And what I learned is, there was no real rhyme or reason to it. I was very sloppy in my recording. So lots of things would get cut off and butt into one another. And I remember as an adolescent, probably now fast forwarding to maybe 11 or 12, I would go back and I would listen to those tapes. And it became a habit of mine, a ritual of mine, to listen to those tapes on any sort of long car trip that we engaged in as a family. So if we were driving up to fucking Pennsylvania from Fort Lauderdale to go see,
that's a drive.
That's a hell of a drive. And we were seeing a wing of the family no one really cares for, but that's neither here nor there.
Did you at least get to go to the Hershey amusement park?
Never did.
Oh, man.
Never did. No, I'll tell you what we did do, though, is we would go to the, funny you mentioned Hershey. I forget exactly where it is. I want to say it's somewhere in the Carolinas.
Okay.
There's the Russell Stover chocolate plant, and my mom was
way better.
My mom was a huge fan of that. So we would go there, and she would get 5 trays of French mints. That was her jam. Was the French mints from Russell Stover, and she would just get like a wholesale shit ton of those. So we would stop there, and I remember
she wouldn't even guess. She wouldn't even get to guess which one she was going to get.
No, she didn't mess with the assortments. She liked the French mints.
All right.
She liked the French mints.
No judgment.
Yeah.
No judgment. Variety's the spice of life, though.
I agree. And then we'd also go to south of the border.
I love south of the border.
Just to wrap that up, other stuff in the Carolinas.
I had an ashtray from south of the border that looked like a sombrero.
Nice.
For years.
Just as a quick aside, for years, as wall decoration in my apartment or wherever I was living in my 20s and up to my mid-30s, I had a firework that I had purchased at south of the border when I was 16.
Okay.
And it was called the Flaming Wheel of Destruction. And you know those fireworks that you nail to a post?
Yeah.
And you light, and it's a hexagon or an octagon, and you light the corners, and it would spin and spark. It was one of those, but it was like 14 inches in diameter, and it was a hexagon, and the cover was just people running in terror from this flaming chariot descending from the sky. And there's explosions going off, and then giant letters like an old war pulp novel, "Flaming Wheel of Destruction." And I just thought that was so fucking funny, and so I had that on my wall for ages.
Did you ever light it?
Yeah, then we took it outside and lit it one day, because it was clashing with my decor as I was getting older. I was like, I'm like getting classier in my living room. Hey, I know what to do. Let's not throw that away. Let's light it on fire. See what happens. And it was terror. It was really weak. It was probably maybe because it was as old as it was. But also maybe it just sucked because it was south of the border firework.
I feel like also your expectations when you bought it
Yes,
were
especially
probably a lot different than like what your reality was when you lit
especially
it.
with the image on the firework there. Yeah.
It sounds like it really that stuck with you for a long. Were there anything on the tapes that you like refused to tape over?
Yes. Yeah. I would make certain notes, and so those would stay, and then I'd fill in the gaps around them. So the thing I realized when I was listening back to all those tapes is there are a lot of these edits that sort of feel like chance edits, because they are chance edits, because I don't know where I'm starting and stopping in the length of the tape. So you just have things that would here's a bit of dialogue from a commercial. I've got the Walkman pressed up against the television, and a thing I really liked to do was I would press the Walkman up against the television, and this is when we still had dials on the TV in the 80s and early 90s. We certainly still had VHF and UHF dials, so I just would hold the Walkman up against the mono speaker of my crappy television and then just crank those dials, and so you just get this and just,
It's literally that's literally just the sound of the Big Bang.
Yeah.
Mixed with everything else.
But just running through all the stations and then backtracking, like finding things that kind of work back and forth, like especially this would be a habit, especially when I started elementary school. I would sick days, right? That was just an excuse to fuck around with that for several hours.
Yeah.
And I'd go back and forth between a news thing and a afternoon infomercial type thing, and The Price is Right, and to just go back and forth, especially if Bob Barker was talking or something. I'd get like 3 seconds of him talking and then flip channels, and you'd also hear the clack of the dial, because I'm just holding the Walkman up to the television. So you're hearing all that too. And you're also probably hearing me breathing sometimes, or my mom yelling at me to stop doing that, or like a dog barking. So it was just listening to all this, and then the kind of chance operation of it all. I just thought, even as a little kid, even at like 10, 11, 12 years old, I was like, I think I'm onto something here. And then I have to give credit to my cousin, Kevin. My cousin Kevin, older, like a second cousin, and he saw what I was doing, and then I showed him the tapes, and he made me a mixtape of these plunderphonic and cut up artists that he was aware of. He wasn't even fond of them, but he was aware of them, and he thought, oh, I bet Evan would get a kick out of this. These are adults doing what he's doing. And so that's when he showed me this guy John Oswald and this group Negative Land and a handful of other things, and some groups where they incorporated that into a regular band setting. Some like I think Per Ubu was something he introduced me to, and those all became some of my favorite bands and art projects or music projects to this day. I will never, I don't have enough nice things to say about Negative Land. I'll never run out of nice things to say about Negative Land, I should say. A fantastic group.
It's a very John Cage kind of approach to music, though, right? Where just like anything.
I feel like with John Cage, it's like a deconstruction of music theory.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm operating just completely outside of that environment entirely.
Sure. But I guess what I'm getting at is that,
or let me put it this way. I feel like there's two main approaches to experimental music, and one is what I do, which is I don't know any of the rules, so I don't know what I'm breaking and what I'm not breaking. I'm having a grand old fuck around, and I'm seeing what happens. And then the other way of doing it is like your Karl-Heinz Stockhausens or your John Cages, where you know all the rules so damn well and so precisely that you know exactly which ones to break and which ones to bend.
But John Cage also has that composition that's just silence.
Sure, 433.
So like, and I've heard Zappa play it.
Yeah.
And like, the only instructions in there is to open the piano cover and to close the piano.
That's
cover.
right.
And everything in between that is music. And I just feel like a composition like that gives someone like you, not that you needed it,
Yeah,
but permission
to
do whatever the fuck you want.
That I completely agree with.
And that's
you're allowed to fuck around like that.
Yeah. It's like it's kind of like the rules. Yeah, I know all the rules, and maybe sometimes it's a conscious decision. Sometimes I do think he is also just like, none of them matter, and I'm gonna find out what I can do if I throw them all out the window.
That's true. And there's and again, I brought up Stockhouse, and they did stuff where there was chance operation things, preparing your piano by shoving things under the strings in the soundboard and things.
Ben Folds puts thumbtacks, and this is not really experimental, but the way he gets his rock sound, he puts thumbtacks on all the hammers of the piano. I didn't know Ben Folds did that, but that whole like tack piano approach. Yeah, that's how he got his rock sound. Is he'll put those tacks on a grand piano.
Oh yeah.
And anyway,
because that's what they used to do to make it resonate more with. I think like your old West like upright saloon piano.
Yeah.
A lot of those are tacked for the same reason, and so they can rings out. And so that's what it's piano, not piano.
Yeah, I don't think he ever claimed to invent it.
Right, of course.
But it was what he did to like, get the unique kind of sound that he was after. So I had a recorder and did similar, but I did a lot of things where I would like narrate the world.
Okay.
Like I'd be playing air hockey with my sister, and I would pretend I was a sports announcer while playing too. Was there any of that kind of thing for you?
No.
When did you become more performative?
Not
necessarily starting stand-up, but it sounds like all the things that were attracting you to music at a younger age were very much personal, very kind of, I don't want to say isolated, but you weren't necessarily performing it for anybody. It wasn't for that.
No, absolutely not.
Anything you were going to release. It wasn't.
No, I was embarrassed of it for many years.
Okay.
It wasn't until many years. It wasn't until pandemic kicked off.
But you loved it.
Oh, I loved it. It wasn't until pandemic kicked off where I thought, oh, maybe other people would enjoy this. And I have so much free time right now because I during the years of the pandemic, I ran a coffee shop. I was one of the operators of a coffee shop.
I don't think I realized that.
And we had to just shut the hell down for months and months. So
Which coffee shop?
All Saints Cafe.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So
I miss that place.
Yeah,
we all do.
More than me, and also a shout out to Michael Lingenfelter and Evan McLaughlin, who
Evan McLaughlin
helped me run that place,
yeah.
and I helped them run that place. I was the kitchen side of things.
I think that's why, because I would be there a lot, but I don't know that I ever ran into you there or knew you. It was always fucking slammed when I was there too.
Oh yeah,
in the day.
Yeah.
We don't have anything that's like a third space that's open 24 hours anymore either.
No, it's rough.
There's nothing like that.
Nothing like
I'm
it.
a night owl. I take it you probably are too.
I am.
And I just miss even going to like Walmart at 2 a.m. But anyway, so it wasn't until 2020 that you start to decide to release your music.
Yeah, really, what it was because I had so much free time, I started going through all my tapes and my tape loops and stuff and kind of realizing these are getting a little long in the tooth. They're not going to last forever. I should start digitizing these.
Oh, yeah.
And just having an archive so that was the original intention, was just, let me just run these through a computer, get them digitized. I'll put them on a external hard drive and that'll be it. And I'll have that and I can dip into that whenever I want. And then as in the middle of doing that, I kind of realized, shit, Bandcamp exists. Why don't I give that a shot? Why don't I just go throw them up there? Maybe one or two people will filter in and check it out. And that's what happened.
One or two?
One or two.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it took off or anything. But anyway, the project's called Dactyloi. That was something I had to figure out a name for it.
Right. I was gonna ask you how you came up with the name.
I came up with the name because it was it started as a joke name for another project.
Okay.
And I just kind of ended up liking it a lot. The original joke was it was me and Evan McLaughlin again. It was the two of us and I believe a keyboardist, but I'm not sure about that. We were going to do this very thin, minimalist doom metal project,
Okay.
and the name I came up with was Dactyloi, which again just sounded like a metal, like a doom metal
Yeah,
thing,
yeah.
because it's Greek, it's ancient Greek for like creature of many fingers, many fingered
Okay.
creature, and
I knew it was familiar, but I
and the Dactyloi are from mythology,
yeah.
and they're kind of like the forebearers of artisans and craftsmen in some mythologies. So that was the Dactyloi, and so I think originally it was the Dactyloi, and the joke of it was we were a piss take band to begin with. We were like this 3-piece. We wanted to do like if the Carpenters were a doom metal band was the concept. And the joke, this joke that I really wanted to realize was I wanted to make the logo for the band, and I didn't want it to look like a pile of yard trash. Like I want to, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, like every metal
Yeah, it's all the
logo, yeah.
It's cool. There's an aesthetic to it.
Yeah,
I'm not
sure.
knocking it, but I just thought
You have to have some like limbs, disembodied limbs in that trash pile.
so. I remember saying at the time when we were trying, I said, I'm going to make the logo, and by God, it's going to be in Gil Sans condensed font. Like, it's just going to be legible, and I'm going to put, and it's going to be colorful. And so I made this logo, and the band never took off. The band never materialized. We never even had a single practice. We just only got stoned and talked about it. But I had this logo ready to go, and I just thought, I'll just swap this over to this cut and paste project I've been doing. So so I thought there's something to these tapes when I was a little kid. By the time I'm like 15, 16, I start learning about signal processing and audio manipulation and things. And really, that's just a fancy way of saying I bought a bunch of really cheap guitar pedals.
Yeah, and like, went to Radio Shack and
I went to Radio Shack and I went to Radio Shack and bought, bought some components and learned how to solder and learned what looping was. And I started making my own razor tape loops that could play infinitely on a cassette. And I'd start playing those back into, like, I would run that off of a boombox, and then I had the same old Sony Walkman that I had from the 80s, and I'd push that up against the boombox, and I just so it's just tape being bounced to tape being bounced to tape, and also being like pushed through the air. So it is incredibly lo-fi. And then I would take rudimentary, this is now we're talking about the mid late 90s, rudimentary affordable delay pedals and echo pedals and distortion pedals and chorus pedals and phaser pedals, pretty much anything that like Boss or Dan Electro made, and I would go and get them for maybe 10-15 bucks a pop at a pawn shop,
right.
or the swap shop open air flea market in Fort Lauderdale. And I just bring those home and I daisy chain them all together, figure out how they worked and what they did, and try to feed my tape through, because I liked the crispness, but I also wanted to obfuscate the sources of a lot of the audio, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure.
So I thought
now it would be for like copyright reasons. Like,
sure.
But back then it was.
But before I just thought like, oh, this would be nice, but there's gaps, and I don't want to. I can't edit the tape that finely just to eliminate these gaps, because then the tape would just be shredded and useless. What if I put like just incredibly heavy reverb on this and bleed the audio and fill in those gaps with like delay and echo and reverb, and then I would listen to those back. I went, well, shit, I love this. I don't think anyone else would enjoy this, but I love it. And then high school happened. And this is just like a repeat of me as a little kid with my cousin Kevin. When I got to high school, I also got the internet. The real internet, the web, the one that everyone knows about. Another quick digression.
Were you an IRC kid?
Yeah.
Hell yeah, brother.
Oh yeah. And IRC, ICQ. And then I'll going all the way back to like Usenet. I did a lot of Usenet, and then prior to that, BBSs. My father was a very early adopter for the internet. He saw the potential of that in the 80s. We had a 2400 baud cradle modem in 1989. And that was when to my knowledge, you could access two things with that modem. And it was this, and the one I used was
porn.
Oh, hell no. This is all, this is not graphic internet.
Right,
This is all ASCII. So if it was porn, it would be like made out of A's and asterisks and ampersands and shit. But no, it totally existed.
In the 90s.
It totally existed.
I bet it. I was going to say it had to.
But I was too young for, I hadn't had my sexual awakening in 1989. Okay. But one of the things that you could access with the early non-graphical internet was the card catalog of the Broward County Public Library System. And I don't know if you could tell from how this podcast has been going so far in my cadence, but I'm a fucking nerd.
Yeah.
And so I love it.
That's why we've always gotten along.
So I was like, I can go and do this at home and write down all the card catalog numbers and then just show up like a fucking boss to the library and just go, I'd like these titles, please, or I'll go find them myself. It'd save me to have to hunt in their physical card catalog.
You did not have Conan the Librarian after you.
No, I kept my head on. He was also, I was very fastidious about late fees and stuff. I would be mortified if I had a book go overdue. Because again, huge nerd, and also an adult pleaser. Were you growing up.
Like big on rules in general as a kid, or was it just like that personal responsibility with the library?
Yeah, personal responsibility. That way more so than rules. I was obnoxious in a way that I'm still obnoxious, where I kind of demand to have the whys and hows of rules explained to me. Not so they make sense to me, but it's justify the rule to me.
I'm the same way. Yeah.
Justify the rule to me, or I'm going to play it fast and loose.
Yeah.
If you fail to justify that rule to me, I'm going to disregard and not respect that rule. That's how I've always been. But I've always tried to please people.
Yeah.
And as a kid, I was very into making adults like me. So
right. I was always like a teacher's pet kind of thing too, but in an annoying way.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Like, they didn't like it.
Yeah.
So it was like they tolerated it.
Yeah.
Because it was like if I wasn't the teacher's pet, it would have been way worse.
See, I was too weird for the teacher's pet. It was definitely more of a Klaus clown than teacher's pet. If I had to pick one or the other.
I think I just like danced on that line.
Yeah.
That's kind of how it was for me.
But again, the nerd shit would come out, and like my grades would be too good for anyone to say anything.
See, I never got good grades I was undiagnosed with ADHD and all this stuff as a kid, and so a lot of it makes sense to me now. But I got terrible grades in school until I got to college and got to pick my classes, and it was much more like an autonomous kind of thing.
Oh, but back to the internet.
Yeah,
so, we got now it's 1997, 1998. And I have America Online, right?
Yeah, and, man. Do you still remember your screen name?
Ranma 518.
Mine was Frogbender 2000, based on the Joe cartoon Frog in a Blender.
Ah, yes. Well, Ranma 518 was based on an anime called Ranma 1/2 that I was exposed to in middle school and became very fixated on. And then 518 is my initials. E is the 5th letter of the alphabet. R is the 18th letter of the alphabet.
Gotcha.
And then Apple Cart was my other handle. Apple Cart was my Usenet, and IRC and ICQ handles was Apple Cart.
Go find all of the old posts.
Oh yeah, yeah. And I believe I'm overturned Apple Cart currently on Reddit, but I don't really use Reddit much these days.
I'm gonna bleep that one just for your own sake. Reddit is supposed to be anonymous.
But I genuinely don't care. Do whatever you want with it.
One thing that struck me about all of the things that you're talking about on your music, your early music stuff, is what the similarity between that. There's someone at the door, but I don't care. I'm not expecting them. So the similarity between that and the early Flaming Lips, Zarika kind of stuff. I am gonna just peek and see what's up.
Yeah, not a problem. And I'll riff for a sec. So with that internet, with America Online and the graphical internet, I started seeing forums and message boards about kind of things that were adjacent to the things I was doing.
They had nothing but a cell phone in their hand.
Oh, but I'll say a big revelation for me with the internet was discovering Nurse with Wound, who is this primarily a solo project of this dude Steven Stapleton. He's been doing it since I want to say the late 70s.
Okay.
And I heard that for the first time, and also file sharing systems were kind of just coming online. So this is like one of the first things I used to do with Napster. Was find all this outsider stuff, and I found these Nurse with Wound records, and I also found like a lot of harsh noise around the same time, and I got very fixated on those. Excuse me for one moment.
So you weren't really aware of like what the Flaming Lips were doing at that time, though.
Oh no, I was aware of Zyarica.
Like when it was contemporary, like around the time they were doing it, because that was. It sounds like around the same time you were doing a lot of your tape loops, and
I think I became aware of Zyarica around 2000.
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry. I got a little distracted when I asked you that.
And that's a lot of fun.
It really is.
And we tried to replicate what they were doing with Zyarica. I didn't have a car, but I had friends who did. It was around 2000 now. I had friends who were old enough to drive and had a car. And we would coordinate. They were very, they indulged me a lot.
Yeah.
I had good friends. I had good friends because I would say, hey, guys, I have a plan. And they would indulge me in this ridiculous plan, whatever it was. And a couple of times it involved me rounding up my buddy Victor, my buddy Gregorio, and Robert and Tim, and they had cars, and all four of us would go drive to a parking garage and put one disc of Zyarica in each car stereo system, and then just open all four doors and kind of park in a semicircle and then just let it rip. And then we would just get very baked at 1 a.m. at a parking garage and listen to Zyarica. That was very important to me at the time.
And just to fill the listeners in, like the original Zyarica, before they put it out on 4 discs, they were doing these parking garage parties where they would pull up like 20, Flaming Lips would pull up, get a bunch of people to pull up like 20 cars, and each of them would put in a different cassette. They talk about it in their documentary, The Fearless Freaks, which I highly recommend. There's a bunch of footage of that.
I have not seen it.
I'm glad I can recommend a music movie for you because there's footage of these parking garage parties. So I think
right on.
I think it'd be right up your alley to at least watch that portion of it. Because what they were doing was they were making all these dynamic sounds from all these different audio sources that were supposed to come together and make this one sound. And I just wanted to we dove into it because we both knew what the fuck we were talking about. But just for the listeners at home that's never heard of that, it's something that I tried to replicate once as well. But at home I had friends bring over boom boxes and we never quite got it to work because there would be that thing where some CD players would have a 2-second gap between between tracks.
That's right.
And that would always fuck it. Somebody's would always fuck it up for us.
I made the first radio station I worked for, I interned at as a teenager and then left.
Was it down in Fort Lauderdale?
Down in Fort Lauderdale. I made a mix down of Zyarica, cool. So you could just play it on the radio.
Hell yeah.
And to have it intact. But even back then, it didn't even cross my mind to show my friends the Dactyloi stuff because even Zyarica was about as weird as they were willing to get. And at the end of the day, it's still music. It's still guitars and a full band setting and vocals even.
So was this a secret?
Oh, it was a very,
Nobody knew about it?
Just my family, just my immediate family. My brother and my parents knew about it because they would watch me do it all the time. Right. But I didn't tell anybody. It was my personal private hobby.
Was it something that you wanted to keep a secret? If somebody had found out about it, would you have been devastated?
I think I joked earlier that may not have come across as a joke that I was mortified about it or embarrassed by it. I really wasn't. No, it was a point of pride. I was no, this is my private thing. Gotcha. This is for me, not for you. This is for me. And that's kind of how it went.
Gotcha. My friend Red, and he's been on the show. He's in a band called Red and the Revelers. Classically trained pianist. does not play piano in his band.
Right on.
That's for him. That's like his thing. So I
was-
get it, man.
It's half of it. And the other half of it was I was dead convinced that, and I've been largely proven right over the years, is dead convinced that you're not going to like this. This isn't for you. And that's why I think a private joke I have, an early slogan for Dactyloi was, "It's for you." Because I knew, it was like, no, it's not. This is all bangs and clangs and whooshes and hauntological weirdness. Now, as I got older, as I get my late teens and started getting to college and stuff like that, I'll tell you what was a game changer in my assessment of people's appreciation of this sort of thing. Psychedelics.
Yeah.
Once I was aware of that, and once I experimented with some psychedelics, I go and listen to those tapes. Oh, these are hitting different now. Actually, maybe under the right conditions, just about anybody can enjoy this.
It's like fish.
Yeah, in a way. But again, fish at the end of the day.
Music.
Guitars and drums and music and singing.
Yeah. So you kept this thing a secret. Did psychedelics affect the way you were making it too?
For a while.
Yeah.
For a while, I would get kind of lost in the processing end of things. I started recording less and processing more.
Okay.
And I've reverted back.
Once you kind of learn what you're doing with the processing, they become just like tools in the toolkit.
Yeah.
And not like the thing you're obsessed over anymore.
Going back, there are definitely some recordings I've made where I feel like they're too saturated with a certain effect, or I'm over relying on a certain patch, and it feels a little gimmicky. So I'm not as in love with those as I was when I was making it. But
yeah.
Whereas now I'm kind of letting the silences kind of hang there, and I'm doing more with longer form field recordings, and especially in the last couple of years, I've kind of moved into more of a field recording forward thing instead of a thing.
Yeah,
It's more like, hey, here's some running water, and like I have a leaky faucet, and I'm gonna put a pot under the leaky faucet, and you're just gonna hear this plink, plink, and then
I think they were playing your stuff right before the Alabama Shakes the other night.
There you go.
Everybody had to pee right away, right before they went on.
So here's that and some bird song that I got at Tom Brown Park, and then like footfalls, and I'll put a little bit of echo on my footfalls, and I'll just pace back and forth on a plank of wood and record that, or have like a piezo contact mic on the piece of wood, and I'll process that. But the birds and the water, like, that's clean. That's kind of the direction I'm moving into now.
Yeah.
But Dactyloi, check it out. It's available nowhere.
It's on Bandcamp.
It's on Bandcamp.
It's linked in the description of this episode. I do want to shift gears though, because there's a whole facet of your creativity that we haven't talked about yet.
Oh Lord.
And we've hinted at things that I think probably led to it in a lot of ways, like your early radio gigs. It sounds like you were very comfortable with public speaking at a pretty young age.
I'm not bad at public speaking. I can, with enough prep time, I'm really good at public speaking. I love speaking on the radio because it's public speaking without any eyeballs on you. I'm just alone, and I'm speaking
I
my
don't even
words.
think the camera's running anyway, so you're good.
Nah, I've gotten over it. I liked the idea of like, I'm just speaking my piece into the void, and whoever's listening is listening, but I don't have to acknowledge the audience.
When you started doing that, how did you get comfortable, literally just talking to no one? I'm asking that personally sometimes. As someone who's struggled making solo episodes or even streaming sometimes, how did you find your voice without it being a conversation?
I hate to answer this way. It's that specific thing comes very naturally to me.
Cool.
Out of the gate.
I don't even really talk to myself on my own.
See, I am a huge, huge mutterer.
Yeah.
Anyone I've ever lived with will tell you that's probably one of the things that annoys them.
I think I talk in my sleep.
I'm a huge mutterer. I'm a huge talk to myself or whatever you call that. I know I'm big on that.
So I'm going to go all the way back to the beginning again, because a lot of the time I'll ask this question right after the music question, but when I'm talking to a comic, but we didn't get there. We went elsewhere, and that's fine. But what's the first joke you remember loving as a kid and or like performing, like repeating to people?
Oh, the first joke, like actual joke.
Or bit, or, but yeah.
Okay.
Because like for me, it was like I did Who's on First in 5th grade for my school. You know what I mean?
So, I had a habit of, and this goes with taping things with the Walkman, is I would to afford myself time to do those things, I would wake myself up in the middle of the night, or if I just woke up naturally like 2 a.m. right, I'd go out and into the living room and turn the television on and start fucking around. And again, I'm 4, 5, 6 years old, and I'm not allowed to do that. And that was also cool because it was sexy and dangerous, because I was breaking a rule. And so I would go out and I would watch television. And sometimes if I came across something I thought was interesting, I'd have my Walkman ready to go and I'd fire it up. I watched a lot of PBS, and I learned pretty quickly that late nights on PBS, they ran in South Florida, and I think everywhere in the country, they ran a lot of syndicated British comedy.
Yeah.
So
I remember like catching a lot of like Who's Line and Benny, original Who's Line.
Oh,
like
sure.
Benny Hill and
Benny Hill, a lot of Benny Hill, a lot of Benny Hill, a lot of Are You Being Served?
Are You Being Served was the next one. I couldn't remember the title.
Allo, just a ton of shit.
Yeah.
But late night, midnight, 1 a.m., that's when they'd play Flying Circus.
Ah, yes.
And I remember just being like, not even getting it, just baffled, but I knew it was funny. And and it would either be, and there was a bit where it was like, oh, I think I get this. It's funny because of the repetition. They keep repeating. And it was the slideshow bit from Monty Python on how to identify trees.
Yeah.
And it would just keep going back to the larch. It's a very simple joke. Number 3, the larch. The larch. And now, number 3, the larch. That just busted my ass up as a little kid. And as a quick aside, I once repeated that, as per your question, I did repeat that to no one in particular. Just muttered it to myself. And again, I'm 6 years old. My family, we're all out to dinner. And I'm looking at the menu. And I don't even know why I'm looking at the menu. I'm going to get the hamburger. My brother is going to get the chicken tendies. But we're looking at the menu. And I'm just going to myself, the larch. And now the larch. And my dad looked at me, gave me a hard look and went, what did you say? And I said, the larch, it's a tree. And he says, yeah, I know. Where did you see that? He already knew. I got that. Where did you get that from? And I said, and then I was like, oh shit, I'm in trouble because like
that only airs at midnight.
They're gonna know. Oh God, they're gonna know. And I just said, oh, it's a thing on PBS. It's something with a snake. And my dad is like, it's called Monty Python. And my father ended up being a huge fan of Monty Python's. It wasn't immediate, but I think maybe 6 months later, he brought home a copy of.
So he didn't know what the bit was.
No, he knew the bit.
Oh, okay.
No, he recognized the bit, but he kept it inside. He didn't gush to me. He just was like, "You shouldn't go."
Now I see.
You shouldn't stay up after bedtime. You shouldn't go out after bedtime. That's what he told me. He's like, "You're not in trouble. Just don't do that."
But he was impressed.
Secretly, he was like, my kid likes the thing I like. So 6 months later, he comes home with a copy of with a VHS copy of Holy Grail, and said, "Hey, Evan, these are those guys you like. They made a whole damn movie about it." So that became a bonding thing between me and my dad.
Nice.
Was Flying Circus. So yeah, that was probably, as far as a bit, that's very, very young.
Yeah.
That one really stuck with me.
It sounds like you were always performative too, because you were a class clown.
Always.
And then you wanted to be on the radio as a teenager. At what point were you like, okay, I'm gonna try stand up?
I tried stand up for the first time on the night of my 18th birthday.
Hell yeah.
That was
over 20 years ago.
Yes.
We'll just call it that. We don't have to.
No, screw it. I'm 43, brother.
Hell yeah.
And yeah, that was part of my. That was I guess like a birthday provision. That was something I wanted for my birthday.
Yeah.
I told my parents that's something I wanted for my birthday was.
So they kind of like set it up for you to be able to do it at like your party or whatever.
They called around. Oh no, I didn't have a party.
Oh, you went.
I went to a comedy club.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I went to a
down
place
in Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah, I went to a place called Uncle Funny's in Davie, Florida.
Is it still there?
I don't believe it's still there.
Okay.
But it was inside of a strip mall, and yeah,
that is not what I thought you were going to say when you said strip. By the way. Just for the
no, that's other.
Fort Lauderdale.
I was employed by a strip club for a while in Fort Lauderdale. I was the doorman at a place called Goldfingers in Fort Lauderdale.
You look like the doorman at Goldfingers.
I do. That's why I got the job.
Yeah,
because I looked the part.
Yeah.
I put a suit on.
I've seen you in a suit,
and I'm like a good-looking suit. You've seen me in my bullshit.
I don't even mean the one a couple weeks ago. I've seen in the past, but I don't remember.
Oh, those are all those though. Those are all like
all
used
bullshit.
car
Yeah.
salesmen.
Here's the thing, Revan. I don't know the difference.
But I have a couple nice suits. But yeah, when I'd wear those for work, I put a suit on and I'd just mean mug and not talk. Yeah, I look the part.
Did you have a corsage?
No.
Man, you gotta have.
But as soon as I started, and I learned also working as a doorman bouncer that I needed to have if I had a podium, I needed to have a book that I could pretend to read or pretend to read, because then no one would try to talk to you.
Oh yeah,
because I learned
buddy outside smoking or whatever.
No, being my buddy, I don't mind people wanting to be my buddy, but the thing I was worried about was if you start talking to me, I'm going to start talking to you. And 20 seconds into me talking to you, you're going to realize the illusion is fucking shattered about me being a tough guy.
And that's kind of what I meant when I meant like people leaving you alone. Because I know you're like a super personable guy.
Yeah.
But the moment somebody has a conversation with you.
Now, I'm going to say something say something really silly.
Yeah.
And hopefully, and I intentionally, so that like, maybe I'll make this person laugh, because that's always been in me. And
so I'm guessing you fell in love with it the first time you did it.
Oh yeah, no, I always wanted to do it. I was always fascinated with comedy. Jumping from the Monty Python thing, a huge. I can't emphasize enough how big this was. We were one of the. I want to say we were one of the test markets for with Comedy Central was the Comedy Channel.
Yeah.
And there, and for the first 3-4 years of that existing, when it was the Comedy Channel, they didn't have any original programming whatsoever. The closest thing they had to original programming was they would build these frame shows around basically just compilations of stand-up.
Okay.
So you'd have a host that would say, relationships are weird, isn't it? And here's 5 comics with like 2 minutes each. Here's a bit a piece from 5 different stand-ups on divorce, right? And then that would be a show. And then later they would start having location-specific shows, like London Underground and Stand Up was location-specific. And then they also started re-airing the old 80s HBO comedy specials. So watching those, I just had a complete
like the early Eddie Murphy specials and shit like that.
Oh yeah. Just complete admiration and respect for stand-up. But I will tell you something, not my first love.
No.
My first and truest love, let's go back to Monty Python, sketch
comedy. Yeah.
Sketch comedy.
I would have guessed that.
Sketch comedy is still my number one favorite. And it's the thing I enjoy doing the most.
And I would say, as someone who has watched and enjoyed your comedy a lot over the years,
Well, thank you very much.
and I know, and I don't say that for any other reason than to say that, like, I feel like I like have a pretty good understanding of like what you do when you perform, and it feels almost like a one-man sketch.
Yeah. I try to embody some version of a character.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you that. Like, I feel like I've never seen the version of you on stage, off stage.
Right.
I've seen versions of you off stage, on stage, but the you that I think that doesn't use a microphone, that is bolsterous and kind of takes over a room in a really powerful way. You're so much more subdued when you just have a conversation. You get animated. You have a, you're
anyway.
a big personality person, but you're mellow and you're chill, and you're not that when
I'm
you
not
perform.
that. No.
You're very kind of shouty.
I'm shouty and manic, and a bit unhinged when I perform, and that is all intentional character work. Yeah.
Right. But how much of that is really just a part of you?
It's almost
especially is like, and I don't know when, and let me expand the question a little bit more, because I don't know when you found like that voice in your stand-up. It's been there the whole time I've seen you perform, but as someone who started at 18, it seems like to me you really probably like found a way to express this part of you that was already there.
No, I was always quick with jokes in my friend groups and things like that, but I'd tell them very naturally, or I would tell them very deadpan, and then no one would get it.
Right.
No one would get that I'm fucking around. And that's in conversation. I'm 9 times out of 10 I'm going to default to like a very straight delivery. With stand up, and going back to sketch real quick. Sketch is my love, but I'm not a sketch. I don't see myself as a sketch performer. I'm a writer, and
and that seems, whether it's your lyrics or your comedy, that seems like
that's a bit of a through line there, yeah. But I get way more satisfaction because I don't think I'm a very talented sketch performer. I don't think I'm a very talented actor, I should say, and I get way more satisfaction and enjoyment sitting in an audience and having someone who's good at performing do my material and get a big reaction from the audience than I would if I was the one in that spot.
So have you done a lot of writing for other comics then?
I've done a lot of writing for other comics.
Interesting. That's something I was not aware of.
And especially for sketch, I would write entire sketches and scenes, and just like I'm not casting myself in any of this. It's just, I work in a group, and I'm a writer. I was in several sketch groups in the past. One Murder Fist, probably the most notable one. But before, this is for anybody who knows out there in podcast land, this is before the move to New York City, where they actually got their name out there and got traction. This is the Tallahassee days of Murder Fist. And I was a writer. 4 out of 5 sketches. I would only ever write myself into a sketch when I was like really precious about a character, and I was like, it's got to be done a very specific way, and I'm not a director, so I think I'm just gonna have to do it, you guys. Or it was an ensemble sketch that required all of us to, because it's a crowd or a group or something. So those are the only times I'd ever be on stage. So with stand-up, and that's why I always admired stand-up, because I just don't like being an object of attention. So with stand-up, I thought maybe it's like aversion therapy. I thought, how do I'm going to make myself the object of attention. There's no way you can't when you're doing stand-up. You're there alone on a stage with a microphone. You are the object of attention. I'm already uncomfortable. So how do we just fucking maximize that without being obnoxious? And I just thought, I'll go and recall the mannerisms of my favorite comics. And always, a lot of my favorite comics invariably do character work.
Yeah.
Those are not their true personas on stage. Gilbert Gottfried didn't act like that in real normal life. He actually had a beautiful voice, Gilbert Gottfried, like a melodious voice. Emo Phillips.
Yeah, I love Emo. I've seen him twice.
Is one of my I would say if I had the inspiring comic, it's a combination of Emo Phillips and Stephen Wright. It's those two. That is my
I can see that.
That is my Quasar. Is Stephen Wright and Emo Phillips. And I didn't want to bite their style. What if I'm just manic? What if I'm just manic?
Yeah, because you're almost like the opposite persona of Stephen Wright.
Oh, Stephen Wright's incredibly dead. Well, and then I learned
you're like the other end of the spectrum.
And then many years later, this is why I almost hesitated to mention Stephen Wright, but that's not a fucking character. He actually is that guy.
Yeah. And as someone who's had a pretty long conversation with Emo Phillips, he's pretty much that guy.
Yeah, it's just the voice is a put on.
Only it's an exaggeration.
Yeah, it's an exaggeration.
That's what I would say.
He's like goosing it.
So I ran into him outside of a Weird Al concert in 2022, and he talked to me and my daughter for 15 minutes. Super, one of the nicest guys you'll ever. Sometimes they say don't meet your heroes.
Oh, absolutely.
He's the fucking sweetest, man.
Yeah, no, I no doubt in my mind. Every public appearance I've seen him involved in, he just seems like a very kind man.
But he also, what took me aback was it was not much of a character. He was and maybe he was just doing the character but it was just the two of us. And it seemed pretty genuine. He seemed like he was having a very genuine conversation.
And I don't know if this is like a parasocial delusion or anything like that on my part, but I kind of feel like if you're that good of friends with Weird Al Yankovic, you can't suck. You got to be a nice person.
Yeah,
you got to be a exceedingly nice person.
I think that's very true because I've had Jim West on the show, his guitar player, and seriously, just the nicest fucking guy in the world. And I've been talking to Steve J about coming on, and also just the nicest fucking. They're all just the nicest dudes. So yeah, no, I think that tracks. Thank God for people like Weird Al.
Yeah, no, he's a hero. He's a hero. But my heroes were Emo and Stephen Wright.
Yeah. And Emo was always like that scene in UHF where he cuts off his thumb. That was
Call
my
me
favorite.
Mr. Butterfingers.
Yeah. I think it's on the floor there. That's my favorite scene in that movie.
Yeah.
So, and that's the second time we've referenced UHF today. So that's good. It's not a successful episode unless we have at least two.
It was my mom that showed me UHF.
Yeah?
Yeah, my mom showed me that movie.
I just remember I saw it at the Blockbuster or whatever and rented it, and they only had one copy. I found out it was out of print and you couldn't buy it, so I made my own copy. I got two VCRs together and found the really old one that didn't have the macro vision bullshit. The copy protection.
Sure.
And yeah, I straight up made a copy of that shit and wore it out. And I was working at Final Fever when the 20th anniversary came out on DVD, and I lost my shit because I was I always saw it in the computer and the upcoming releases shit and
So yeah, my mom knew I liked Weird Al, and my mom found a copy of the movie, and we used to rent movies at this place. I'm not actually entirely sure if it was like a local independent or if it was a small chain or if it was just a chain that has long since gone extinct. Yeah, but it was a company. It was a store called Far More, and it was kind of a Target situation. It was like various goods and a pharmacy.
Gotcha.
But they had, one of the things was they had 50-cent VHS rentals, and they had
Winn-Dixie did something similar.
Exactly. Winn-Dixie and Albertsons also did rentals. So yeah, it's kind of like that, but without they didn't sell food, I think, beyond candy and shit at a Farmore. So we go, but it was walking distance from our house. So we go to the Farmore and rent movies occasionally. And my mom knew I liked Weird Al and saw that, he made a movie. So she brings it home, we watch it together, and she has a freak out moment. And my parents were they didn't really self-censor. They tried to keep things pretty PG-13 for my brother and I as little kids. But my mom was just, what the fuck? What the fuck? And I don't know what she's reacting to. We're just in the middle of watching this UHF movie. I'm going to not remember the actor's name. But the man who played the technician, the scientist technician, that actor was a very prominent soap opera actor on General Hospital, and my mom was a big General Hospital fan, and he was like the romantic dude on General Hospital, and
I see where this is.
and my mom could not accept that he was also like in basically like a fright wig in this like fuck around comedy. She could not accept it. She bailed. She had to go. She could like, oh, my Luke. That's what it was. Luke was the character's name on General Hospital.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I thought you were going to tell me like the Challenger exploded or something.
Oh,
and
no.
I was like, wait, no, this movie came out in 89. That was 86.
No, she just like, she was like, I can't watch this. I cannot watch this. I can't have like my
so
image
funny.
of this man
That's amazing.
tainted this way.
That's amazing. Yeah. My daughter had and I don't talk about her a lot on here, but I'll tell this story. She had a birthday party where we showed it at Cap City Video Lounge. We rented it out and showed it. And she was probably in like 6th grade. All of her classmates came. Most of them had no idea who Weird Al was or what any of the movies he was parodying was.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. The second half I totally get.
And then they all loved it. They all thought it was funny as hell. We ate Twinkie Wiener sandwiches.
Yeah, gross.
It was disgusting. Don't do it.
You have the squeezy cheese?
We had the squeezy cheese and half and half.
Oh, my God.
I know. We did it right. And we even had vegan ones, although you can't make them vegan. We had vegetarian ones. He doesn't eat them anymore because Twinkies have gelatin in them. Even though you can make them with a vegan dog.
Yeah.
Cheese whiz, the half and half. Yeah.
Right.
It's out the window for him. He really apparently did used to eat them, though.
Yeah, I think I remember hearing him talk about that. And I think that is gross to me, but not for the reasons you might be thinking. I just hate hot dogs. Like even as a little kid, I can't trust a hot dog.
Well, it's been great having you on the show, Evan.
Yeah, it's all right. This happens. This is the third or fourth podcast of it. I need to keep my fucking mouth shut about hot dogs. No one's ready for the hot dog, the hot take.
So the only meme I've ever made, is Sam Jackson in Pulp Fiction, and it says, "Hot dogs, motherfucker. Do you like them?"
No, I'll tell you what though.
And then my friend Taylor Hollingsworth, who's been on the show, he has a song called "Hot Dogs." All about hot dogs.
Tell you what though.
It's all about all the hot dogs in different places of the country.
Oh sure, but I'll tell you something. Give me a brat.
Okay.
I'll take a brat.
All right.
It's a sausage is fine because I can look at a sausage, I could break a sausage open and I could stare into the middle of a sausage and go, okay, that's meat. That's like a piece of fennel. That's a peppercorn. That's a little ball of fat. I can make sense of a sausage. A hot dog is just the smooth pink fruit of industry.
It really is like a chicken nugget without the breading.
Yes.
Yeah.
And for the same reason, I've never been a chicken nugget guy. For the same reason, it's just there's a
no. You make a compelling argument.
I have a visceral turn-off reaction to that stuff.
I only eat like high-quality hot dogs unless I'm at a ballpark.
Oh hell yeah!
But like Angus beef,
sure,
or Hebrew National or Nathan's.
So you're a beef dog.
A beef dog, 100%. Yeah, like I don't do the chicken pork mix. Yeah, to me, the more parts, the more dangerous we're getting. I understand. Actually, this is the first time I've understood, but only because you're willing to eat a bratwurst instead.
Oh yeah, hell yeah!
You know what I mean?
Give me a brat and some spicy mustard. I'm a happy camper.
To me,
man.
that's just like those are just hot dogs made for people our size. You know what I mean? So one thing that you've talked about with me, you've never really wanted to professionalize your comedy. You've never wanted to. It's always been something you wanted to keep a love, a passion, not something that you were wanted. And the ironic thing is, Evan, I think you're one of the few comics I know that I think could professionalize their comedy and like actually make it a living. And it came down to a conversation you had with your father.
Yeah, that was one of them. Yeah, that was one of the big decisions or one of the big deciding factors.
And I was wondering if you'd be willing to just talk about that conversation.
Yeah, sure. This is, we're talking about future plans. This is as I'm gearing up to go to college, and what do you want to do when you're in college, and what kind of interests do you want to pursue? I'm having that conversation with my father, and I said something about I'm naive. I'm 17. I'm naive. I don't know shit about the college ecosystem. Right. So I said, well, don't people go to college to essentially get themselves prepared for a career, right? Right, Dad? And my dad said, yeah. So this was lesson number one was, oh no, I don't think that's why you should go to college at all. I think you should go to college to develop and deepen your interests. So you should the things that make you good, the things that make look good on a resume, not necessarily good for the soul, not necessarily like enriching to the person. So my father, first of all, said, play the fucking field in college, fling on all sorts of things, even if like you're just passingly interested in it, fling on it because you might find a passion for it. But here's the other thing. Here's the other half of it is that don't try to make a career out of your passions. If you really enjoy doing something, keep it that way. Keep it pure in a way.
Yeah.
And specifically the phrase my dad said is, you will hear people say, there's a phrase, there's like a platitude that if you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. And my dad said, right or wrong, my dad said 100% bullshit. Mm-hmm. If you do what you love as your career, you have to hang all of your worldly obligations on this thing you love. So taking comedy, for instance, mm-hmm. He articulated it to me and but it made total sense in the moment and still does. Comedy, I like being funny. I like being regarded as funny, a funny person. The notion of, oh man, I got to be really funny 4 times this week or I can't pay rent.
Yeah.
Is terrifying and anathema to the enjoyment I get out of the hobby. So my dad said, find a thing you're good at. Make that your job. The thing you love, make that your hobby.
I think
you'll have more of a balance and more harmony.
Yeah, I think that makes a total sense to me. The only problem for me with that mentality is that the only thing I've ever been good at is the only thing that I've ever really loved too.
Well, there you go.
And that I think is like the problem. Like once I've found that I loved it, I've also found that I was good at it and was like, okay, this is like the only thing. Like, and I think I have a long way to go. Like but I also know how new I am to a lot of it too. And the fact that I'm like where I am after the amount of time and really the amount of opportunities to even perform that I've been at, I was like, okay, I have to at least give this a shot. You know what I mean?
But I have found ways for years and years, I just had a very staunch stance on this, which is like, no. For years, I refused payment outright.
Right. I remember you mentioning that.
And I still do sometimes. I still will. You know what's weird about it is if I had a blast,
you don't want to get paid.
Then I don't want to get paid.
Interesting.
If I did a show and it was kind of a fuck around show and like maybe here's like 10 or 20 bucks, I might take the 10 or 20 bucks. But if I kill a room and I'm enjoying myself and I'm all smiles, and I had maybe a drink or two, wow, no, I'm not. I have a very poor relationship with money in general.
Yeah, no,
I have a very poor opinion of money in general. So,
and I think
like, why would I sully this with having someone like stick a 20 in my hand?
No, I relate to that a lot. The only reason I think that like I've been able to, and it is partially because I've surrounded myself with all these musicians that like over the years that have struggled. It's like the only way if I'm ever going to make this sustainable is to like, get some kind of payment.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing. Like I'm not motivated by like fame or fortune or anything like that. But like being able to do this and only this, like that motivates me.
But over the years, I've learned ways to soften that stance.
Yeah, I've noticed that too.
And one of those is something we touched on earlier.
I don't mean the getting paid. I just mean like you seem to take it a little more seriously sometimes than.
Yeah, I'm doing it more seriously now, especially in the last 6 months or so because I got shit canned. So this is now currently really the only thing I've got going on in my life.
What this is actually, I'm glad you brought that up because I wasn't going to bring it up, but it does lead me to the point where like you're one of the only people I've ever met where like your artistic talent might be your backup plan that ends up working out.
Maybe. But one of the things that we did touch on real quick is ghostwriting.
Yeah.
That's how I feel like I will allow myself to be paid for that because I'm literally
you getting no other credit.
I'm making babies and then I'm selling my babies, so that I'm okay with. And no, hell no, do not give me credit. Like I don't want to show up on your line.
Well, I've seen you when you're on like an open mic night here, and then I've seen you with Ed Larson, and you're always the same. Like you put on the same show no matter what.
Yes,
you're always giving it your fucking all, man.
Yeah,
and
something I will betray. I will admit this. Because I think it's I don't know. In the moment, I think this is important to admit. It's a respect for the material more than it is a respect for the audience.
I'm with you there, man. Because like, I stand by my material.
Yeah.
If I leave, if an audience doesn't get one of my jokes, if it made it on stage. Like, I'm such a harsh critic of myself. If it made it on stage, like, the kernel, the nugget is there. The most I'm going to learn from an audience is, like, the word order.
Yeah.
Or something like that. Like,
but I'm not going to slow roll or half-ass one of my jokes because it's like, I like my jokes. You're going to get the full-throated delivery.
If you don't get it, you're going to probably, like, I'm probably going to, like, be a little bit more over the top about it.
Yeah.
A little bit more, like.
But we all have our limitations, too.
Yeah.
I think I can write a good joke. I am absolutely dog shit at crowd work.
I don't even try it.
Yeah.
I don't even try crowd. Here's my hot take on crowd work, man. I don't think it's really worth doing. I think it's what most comics are doing to get clips for fucking
100%. Now that
and I'm sick
that
of it.
bit I 100%
I don't like crowd work. I think it makes the audience. So to me, when you bring in when people come see a comedy show, they need to know that they're going to be taken care of.
Yeah.
And they're not going to be embarrassed. And they're not going to be. And also, I don't want people talking during my set.
Very true.
And so the combination of those things for me I kind of hate crowd work.
Yeah.
I kind of fucking hate it.
I don't hate crowd work, but I have a low opinion of it. I think you can elevate it. And we have local comics that have proven that.
A lot of the time, you're just doing prepared material.
Exactly.
That is kind of different.
That is different. It's an elevated style of crowd work where it's more like an interactive set.
Yes.
You're inviting the audience to participate in these relatively scripted
Who does what?
bits.
Oh, I've got jokes about this job.
Right.
Yeah.
And so you can follow into patterns that way.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with it. I think that's a very different thing.
But like most times,
even like Matt Rife's like all crowd work special, all that, I mean, it was pretty funny.
Yeah.
But it was all pre-written. Like none of it was.
But I think a lot of times just flat, regular, bog standard crowd work is, and I'm going to rip off, I believe this was, I'm just going to go ahead and literally parrot. I think this was something Anthony Jeselnik said is crowd work is supposed to be the thing that you do when your written shit doesn't work.
Right.
That like crowd work is the fallback.
Yeah.
And I do agree with that. Like, wholeheartedly agree with that.
And I think that's the problem I see, because I agree with that 100% too. And the problem that I see is so many comics like starting with it.
Yeah.
Before going into their material.
Yeah.
And
I think it's the social media thing, especially with young comics.
Yeah, and I think that's how they think that you write jokes.
Exactly. Young, and I'm talking teenagers, early 20s, mid-20s. Their comedy diet is through social media and short form videos. And that's what they're being presented. So like they get kind of a misconception of that must be how it goes. It's all, it's either crowd work or the thing I like even less than crowd work is the heckler takedown flavor of it. I've
only done that once.
I just want to hear a fucking joke, you guys.
I've only done that once, and it wasn't even really that. It just fit into my set so well.
Oh yeah.
Where like I was telling a joke about how I think we should listen to all women, and then I started talking about Ghislaine Maxwell, and so
no, if it happens, my point is,
and these women are talking at the table like, right in front, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I want to hear what you have to say. I think we should listen to all women. And they were like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, they shut, but it was unintentional and improvised. But yeah, this idea that you're going to, it's almost, I see these comics that get so many hecklers.
Yeah.
That it's like people go to their shows so they can be the heckler that gets ripped.
It's a feedback loop, right? Because what I was going to say is that, yeah, if it happens like in your situation, if it's organic and it just happens naturally and you've got it, maybe throw it online and see what happens. But these are the people who make it part of their brand is I'm the guy that'll nuke a heckler. So here's, not naming names, but here's 10,000 videos by one guy that's like 95% of them is just responses to hecklers. You're going to get a crowd that expects that. And then there's going to be a percentage of that crowd that's going to make damn sure that it happens. And they're going to be the one, or they're going to be the giant slayer. I'm the heckler that the comedian couldn't defeat. And so, yeah, you get it's a weird symbiosis. I don't like any of it. I think it's all fucking lousy.
Yeah, I do too. Oh shit, man. This has been an awesome conversation, Evan. Is there anything else you want to talk about before we wrap it up? I'm sure I'm going to have you back at some point, man. This has been great.
Love to come back. No, I think we're good. We can put a bow on it here.
Cool, man. Well, I will have links to your music, and you don't really put much of your stand-up online, do you?
Hardly ever.
I'm pretty bad about it too.
I have never put my own stand-up online.
Gotcha.
There is some of my stand-up that exists online. It's been put up by other people.
Yeah,
usually people who run the show.
Yeah, I don't prefer that.
Yeah, because you want to be in control of I get.
And like a lot of the time, it's like it'll be clipped out of context, or I'll be still working out the material or whatever. And yeah, I just don't prefer that.
Yeah, but I do have recordings of myself. I just don't do anything with them.
Yeah, you use them for booking or anything like that?
I have.
Yeah.
I will. Yeah, we transfer like a 5-minute video set to like a. Actually, I just applied to the Bend, Oregon Comedy Festival.
Hell yeah, man! They'll be lucky to have you, like for real. And dude, I hope that maybe the fact that you're not left with much other choice right now. I hope that you're really fucking funny, Evan. And I know you don't take compliments well, but you're one of my favorite comedians, like period.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate it.
It's been a fucking pleasure having you here, brother.
Thank you.
All right, that was my talk with Evan Rossi. We'll see you next week with Professor Franz Nicolai of the Hold Steady. We're just getting started on this season, so hit subscribe. Take it away, Sloan.